Sufi masters spoke of a death unlike any other, a death that does not end life but unveils it. They called it fana, annihilation, the dissolving of the self into the real. And yet beyond that death lies another secret, baka, subsistence in God, the abiding life that begins when separation ends. To die before you die, this is the invitation whispered in every heart. It is not destruction but unveiling, not loss, but discovery. For when the self falls away, what remains is not nothingness, but the boundless presence that has been breathing through you all along. Fana is the fire that burns away illusion. Baka is the flame that remains steady and eternal. Together, they are the secret of dying into God and living forever in Him.
They told us that desire was dangerous, that wanting too deeply would lead us astray, that the flame burning inside us was something to fear. Since childhood, we were warned about that inner fire, told to cover it, to pray it away, to treat it like a curse. But what if the fire they warned us about was never meant to destroy? What if it was never the enemy? What if that forbidden flame was the beginning of remembering who we are? Every human heart carries a spark that refuses to die. We bury it beneath fear, beneath duty, beneath the heavy masks of what we think we should be. Yet even under centuries of silence, it breathes, it waits, it hums softly beneath the noise of life, whispering that there is more than what we see. It is not sin. It is not shame. It is the pulse of the infinite pressing through the fragile wall of flesh, calling us back to something ancient and true. That call is not from outside. It comes from the depth of your own being, the place where the divine still remembers your name. The mystics knew this secret. Long before our modern language, before religion became walls and hierarchies, they spoke of two deaths, one that ends the body and another that ends the illusion. The first we fear, the second we forget, yet the second is the only one that truly sets us free. They called it the secret death, the death before death. Not destruction, but revelation. Not loss, but unveiling. The moment when everything false melts away and only truth remains. To the world, this death looks like madness. To the ego, it feels like threat. But to the awakened heart, it is freedom, a liberation so deep that even words fall silent before it. This death is not the end of life. It is the end of blindness, the end of separation, the end of pretending to be smaller than the universe that beats within you. The Sufis named this fire of transformation fana, the annihilation of the false self, the dissolving of the mask that says, I am separate, I am alone, I am small. And in that dissolving, something eternal begins to breathe through you. Rumi once wrote, "The wound is where the light enters." He did not mean it as poetry. He meant it as a map. Every crack in our certainty, every heartbreak, every humiliation is an opening. It is the place where the armor breaks, where the light finally has a way in. When the ego dies, awareness awakens to itself. You are not erased. You are expanded. You do not vanish into nothingness. You merge into everything. The illusion of distance fades, and what remains is the quiet recognition that you have never truly been apart. Imagine the drop of water falling into the ocean. To the eye, it disappears. To the small self, it feels like death. But in truth, it has become vastness itself. No longer a drop, but the sea. No longer separate, but infinite. That is fana, the burning away of illusion until only truth remains. It is not an act of violence, but of surrender. It is the moment when the wave remembers that it was always the ocean. And beyond that fire, there lies another mystery. The mystics called it baka, the life that begins after the death of the false self. It is not emptiness, but fullness. Not silence, but music made of silence. In Baka, the one who has vanished returns, but not as before. The servant remains, yet not as a slave to the self, as a vessel of the real. Life continues, but now it breathes with a different rhythm, one that beats in time with the divine. This is the hidden fire that burns beneath all longing, the sacred hunger that drives us not to destruction, but to union. The fire they taught us to fear is, in truth, the very flame that leads us home. If these words find you, it means the fire within you is already awake. Let it burn gently. Let it guide you beyond the walls of what you've been told. This is not the end of your story. It is the beginning. Stay with me, and we will walk deeper into the mystery together. When the old self dies, the world does not end. It changes shape. The same streets, the same sky, the same people remain, but everything looks different. The colors breathe. The light moves slower. Even the air feels alive. You begin to see that life was never outside you. It was always happening through you. The illusion was that you were watching from the side. Now you are inside it. You are the pulse and the witness at once. At first, this new silence can feel strange. After the fire, there is no noise left to hide behind. No names, no masks, no fixed direction. The world becomes wider, but also unbearably honest. You cannot lie to yourself anymore. Every shadow speaks. Every desire shows its face. But instead of fear, you feel curiosity. You begin to see that even your pain was never your enemy. It was a teacher disguised as longing. The mystics say that after Fana, when everything false has burned away, the real life begins. Baka, the eternal staying. It is not a heaven beyond death. It is awareness living fully through what once was ordinary. The same bread, the same wind, the same heartbeat, but now all of it glows with meaning. You no longer chase the divine, you breathe it. You no longer speak about love, you are spoken by it. There is a moment when you realize that what you called God was never somewhere far away, waiting in clouds or temples. It was the stillness between your thoughts, the warmth behind your eyes, the quiet force that made you seek in the first place. Baka is not an escape from the world. It is the world seen through the eyes of the soul that no longer resists. When Rumi spoke of love, he did not mean the love of comfort or romance. He meant the love that shatters everything false, the love that leaves nothing untouched. That love is the true revolution. It turns pain into light and longing into prayer. It does not ask for safety. It asks for truth. To live in Baka is to walk through the same world, but now everything burns with meaning. Every stranger becomes a mirror. Every moment becomes scripture. Imagine walking through a market, hearing laughter, watching the play of sunlight on fruit, the shimmer of coins, the sound of distant music. None of it is different from before, yet all of it feels alive. The wind moves through you, not past you. You begin to understand that nothing is ordinary. Even dust has its purpose. Even silence is speaking. That is Baka, the simple, unending miracle of being fully present. There is no need to deny your humanity here. The mystics never wanted you to become a ghost. They wanted you to become real, to feel every breath as if it were your first, to meet joy and sorrow with the same open hands. Desire still exists, but now it has changed its face. It is no longer hunger for possession. It is the longing to merge, to serve, to be used by the current of existence itself. This desire is no longer a chain. It is a compass. It points you toward wholeness. And when you look at others, you begin to see through them, not as if reading minds, but as if recognizing yourself reflected everywhere. You see their fear, their beauty, their pain, their confusion, and you no longer judge. You understand that everyone is burning in their own way, everyone walking their own path through fauna toward Baka. The walls between souls begin to soften. The distance begins to fade. The journey does not end with enlightenment. It begins there, because once you see, you cannot unsee. You carry the fire wherever you go. You speak more softly. You walk more slowly. You listen more deeply. You no longer need to prove anything. You are no longer searching for the light. You are the light remembering itself. And yet, this is only the beginning, because the heart that has touched the infinite still lives in a finite world. It still bleeds, still breaks, still loves. But now, every wound is sacred. Every tear is a river leading home. If these words find you now, let them remind you. Your silence is not emptiness. It is the echo of eternity speaking softly through you. The fire is not gone. It has become light. Stay with it. Breathe with it. The journey continues. And if this truth resonates with you, if it stirs something wordless in your chest, leave a trace before you go. Share your thought, your feeling, your flame. Like this moment, leave a mark of your presence. It helps keep the fire alive. There comes a moment when the silence inside you becomes too vast to keep hidden. The fire that once burned you now warms everything you touch. The light that tore you open now begins to move through your voice, your hands, your gaze, and the world, which once looked ordinary, begins to unfold its secret face. Nothing has changed, and yet, nothing is the same. This is the quiet return after the storm, the rebirth of vision. You walk through the same streets, but now you see the invisible, the trembling line of light that connects everything. The beggar and the king, the cry of a child and the silence of the stars, all of them beating to the same pulse. The heart of God disguised in 1,000 forms. It is overwhelming at first. The world appears both more fragile and more sacred than ever before. You begin to understand that everything is temporary, and yet nothing is truly lost. Existence is a single breath inhaled and exhaled through countless faces. In this state, love changes its meaning. It is no longer the grasping hunger for something outside you. It is an effortless radiance that flows through you, seeking nothing in return. It blesses what it touches and moves on. This love is not personal, yet it is intimate. It is not sentimental, yet it is unbearably tender. It loves not because of beauty, but because everything is an expression of the same source. Even suffering becomes sacred when seen through this light. It is all the beloved, wearing masks of both joy and pain, testing whether you can still recognize him in disguise. The mystics call this living remembrance, being awake while the world still dreams. You do not escape from life. You enter it more fully. You do not turn away from noise. You begin to hear the music inside it. Every conversation, every mistake, every breath becomes prayer. You find that the divine was never waiting in monasteries or temples. It was always here, in the dust of your footsteps, in the trembling of your own hands. The sacred was never separate from the human. It was hidden inside it all along. Rumi once said, "Wherever you stand, be the soul of that place." And that is exactly what happens after awakening. You no longer ask, "Where should I go?" Because you have understood that every place is holy ground if your eyes are open. You start to serve without knowing you are serving. You create without trying to create. You love without asking to be loved. The The boundaries between doing and being dissolve, and you move like wind through the shape of your own destiny. But this new vision is not without challenge. To live awakened among the sleeping is not easy. You see suffering everywhere, in the eyes of strangers, in the silence between words, in the endless hunger for more. You understand it because you were once there. You still are, in some ways. The human heart forgets easily. The ego does not die once. It dies every day, sometimes every hour. Each moment becomes another opportunity to surrender. Awakening is not an ending. It is an ongoing act of remembering, again and again, with gentleness and fire. The mystic's life is not one of escape, but of deep participation. To be alive after fauna is to become the bridge between heaven and earth, silence and sound, stillness and motion. You are no longer searching for meaning. You are meaning unfolding itself. You are not chasing God. You are what God is doing right now in human form. The miracle is not in what you find. It is in the one who is looking. This is what Baka truly is, not floating above life, but breathing within it, touching its edges, knowing it will break you, and still saying yes. The awakened one does not hide from the storm. He becomes the calm at its center. The awakened one does not flee from the fire. He becomes its gentle light. Every action, no matter how small, becomes a continuation of the cosmic heartbeat. Washing dishes, holding a friend, walking under the rain. All of it is worship. You realize then that enlightenment is not about becoming special. It is about becoming real. It is about learning to live without armor, to love without walls, to walk without fear, to be fully human, and through that humanity, to touch the divine. That is the paradox the mystics tried to tell us, that God hides in the ordinary, waiting for us to notice. So when you look at your own life, the mistakes, the fears, the dreams, do not run from them. They are not distractions. They are the path itself. Every loss, every desire, every ending is a signpost pointing you back to the same truth. Nothing is outside of love. Everything belongs. If these words echo somewhere inside you, let them stay for a moment. Let them remind you that the fire you carry is not a curse, but a calling. Like the mystics before you, learn to walk this earth with open eyes and open heart. And if this message reaches you in the right moment, share it. Leave a thought, a reflection, a spark. Your voice keeps the flame alive. After awakening, the light feels eternal. Everything shines, everything breathes, everything carries the pulse of God. You walk through the world as if reborn, intoxicated by the simplicity of being. But the path does not end there. The light, once found, must now learn to live inside the darkness. And that is where the real work begins. There is a moment when silence turns into mirror, and in that mirror you see what was hiding all along, your own shadow, patient, quiet, untouched by enlightenment. It waits beneath every prayer, inside every breath, behind every kind word. The ego does not die once and disappear. It returns in smaller, cleverer forms. It whispers, "Look at you now, awake, holy, special." And if you believe it, the flame begins to fade. The mystics spoke of this danger. They said, "The closer you come to light, the longer your shadow grows." It is not punishment. It is truth. Every false belief, every hidden motive rises again, not to shame you, but to be seen. The divine does not erase your humanity. It illuminates it. And that illumination reveals everything you once buried. You may find anger where you expected peace, pride where you thought there was humility, fear where you believed you were free. And that is when many turn back, thinking they have fallen, thinking they have lost the light. But this descent is not a failure. It is grace wearing darker clothes. The fire that once purified you now deepens, demanding honesty beyond comfort. You are not being tested by God. You are being invited by love to see yourself completely. There is no real awakening without this descent. The light without shadow is fantasy. To know truth is to embrace both the radiance and the ruin within you. The mystics walked this valley too. They wept, doubted, broke. Rumi himself wrote that love shatters the vessel so it can hold more of the divine. You cannot receive infinity in a closed hand. You must break open again and again until only openness remains. In these moments, prayer changes shape. It is no longer words. It becomes breath, trembling, silence, tears. You stop asking for answers and begin to listen instead. The darkness that frightened you now begins to speak, and its language is honesty. It says, "Do not run, stay." The same voice that once called you into fire now calls you into stillness. It tells you that nothing inside you is unworthy of love. Even your fear is part of the dance. Many think awakening means perfection. It does not. It means transparency. It means you stop pretending. You stop hiding the chaos behind holy words. You let the storm move through and trust that it too is sacred. The divine is not offended by your imperfection. It is revealed through it. The cracks are not mistakes. They are entry points for light. Imagine the sun rising through fog. The fog does not resist. It glows. That is how the divine works through your humanity. Every wound becomes a window. Every weakness becomes a way. The more real you become, the closer you are to truth. Enlightenment is not a clean escape. It is the courage to stay dirty, human, alive, and still choose love. And here is the quiet secret. Sometimes God hides inside your confusion, waiting for you to stop searching and simply sit with it. Sometimes peace does not arrive as calm, but as acceptance. Sometimes love is not the warm glow you expected, but the willingness to hold your own trembling heart without judgment. That is maturity. That is the continuation of Baka, to remain even when it hurts and still whisper yes. The shadow does not mean you are lost. It means you are whole. It means the light has gone deep enough to find what was forgotten. The flame of desire, once feared, once worshipped, becomes now the compass guiding you through both heaven and hell. You understand at last that there is no separation. The fire and the light are one. Desire and divinity share the same root. Love is both the question and the answer. And when you realize this, you begin to live with gentler eyes. You no longer fight the darkness. You walk with it. You hold it. You see through it. You understand that the journey was never about escaping suffering, but about transforming it. So if you find yourself lost again, confused, uncertain, remember this part of the path is holy too. The divine has not left you. It is here, hidden inside your doubt, waiting for you to see it. If these words reach the part of you that still trembles, let them remind you that the trembling is sacred. Leave your thought, your reflection, your spark below. It may guide another who is walking through the same shadow. And in that way, the fire continues to move, quietly, endlessly, from soul to soul. After every storm, there comes a strange stillness. It is not silence, but a deeper kind of music, the sound of everything breathing again. When the fire burns long enough, it no longer destroys, it purifies. What remains after that purification is not emptiness, but clarity. The ashes are not symbols of death. They are proof that something false has been released. You stand in the ruins of who you thought you were, and for the first time, you feel alive. There is a tenderness that comes after breaking. You begin to see how much energy you spent fighting the inevitable, resisting what was only trying to teach you. You realize that surrender is not weakness. It is the final act of trust. It is saying yes to life, even when it doesn't look the way you hoped. It is bowing not in defeat, but in awe. You finally understand that the divine was never against you. It was shaping you, like a sculptor carving beauty from stone. When you stop resisting, the entire world shifts. The same pain that once felt unbearable becomes a teacher. The same confusion that once suffocated you becomes air. Gratitude begins to rise uninvited. It is quiet at first, a soft warmth spreading from the chest. Then it grows until it fills everything. You start thanking life for what it gave and for what it took. You see the hidden mercy in your losses, the secret purpose behind every delay. You stop asking why. You start whispering thank you. This gratitude is not forced. It does not come from effort or faith. It comes from recognition that nothing was ever wasted. Every fall had meaning. Every heartbreak was a doorway. Every detour brought you closer to yourself. Even the moments you cursed later reveal themselves as necessary. The divine writes with strange letters, but every line leads home. This is where love begins to mature. It no longer burns with restlessness. It shines with steadiness. You no longer want to possess love. You want to embody it. You no longer seek miracles. You start seeing them everywhere, in the rhythm of breathing, in the quiet resilience of a leaf, in the eyes of a stranger who smiles for no reason. Life itself becomes the prayer you were searching for. You begin to realize that heaven is not a place to reach. It is a way of seeing. The mystics call this state the taste of union, not a vision or an ecstasy, but a calm knowing. You no longer need to speak of God. You feel God in everything, in everyone, even in yourself. The separation that haunted you dissolves like mist in morning light. You look at the world and whisper, I am that. The river, the flame, the laughter, the silence, all of it is one heartbeat. You are no longer a seeker. You are the sought. But even here, humility remains. You know that enlightenment is not a trophy. It is an ongoing act of love. Every day, you wake up and remember again. Every moment, you choose openness over fear. You forgive more easily, not because others deserve it, but because you cannot carry bitterness in a heart full of light. Forgiveness is not letting someone else go. It is freeing yourself from the cage of yesterday. And slowly, life becomes beautifully simple. You stop needing to fix everything. You start listening. You realize that silence is not the absence of meaning. It is its purest form. When you sit quietly and breathe, you feel the same pulse that moves the galaxies beating in your own chest. The same power that births stars is the one that forgives you, that moves your hands, that keeps you alive. You are not small. You are part of that rhythm. In this awareness, fear loses its grip. Death no longer frightens you. You see that dying is just another word for changing shape. You have done it 1,000 times already, in love, in loss, in awakening. Life and death are two sides of the same hand. What you call the end is only another beginning. And so you live lighter, laugh more easily, breathe more deeply. You carry the fire without burning. You carry the world without owning it. If you've come this far, you already know. The flame you carry is sacred. Do not hide it. Let it move through your words, your eyes, your quiet presence. Someone near you is still lost in the dark, searching for a spark. Be that spark, not by preaching, but by living, not by teaching, but by being real. And if these words resonate with you, leave a small light behind, a thought, a reflection, a heartbeat in the comments below. Each voice adds to the circle. Each spark keeps the fire alive. After the fire, after the silence, after the tears and the long nights of unknowing, there comes a new simplicity. It feels like coming home after a long journey. You are still the same person. You walk, you eat, you laugh, you forget. But something invisible has changed. The weight is gone. The need to prove, to search, to strive has dissolved. What remains is quiet wonder. You begin to see that the sacred was never hidden in temples or stars. It was waiting in the ordinary all along. The mystics say that the highest truth hides in the simplest acts: washing dishes, holding a child, listening to the rain. There is no separation anymore. Every gesture is a prayer, every breath a hymn. You no longer chase meaning because everything has become meaningful. The same sky that once felt distant now feels intimate. Like an old friend whispering your name, you start to smile for no reason. Not because life is perfect, but because it no longer needs to be. This is the secret of the awakened. They live like everyone else, but they see differently. When they walk through crowds, they do not see strangers. They see reflections of one light wearing 1,000 faces. When they speak, their words do not come from thought. They rise from silence. When they love, it is not possession, it is recognition. To the world, they look ordinary, but within, everything glows. Rumi said, "You have seen my descent. Now watch my rising." And yet the rising he spoke of was not into the sky. It was into the heart. Enlightenment is not about escaping the world. It is about falling in love with it again, deeper than before. You see the same suffering, but now you meet it with compassion instead of judgment. You see greed, fear, ignorance, and instead of turning away, you reach out. Because you know what it's like to be blind, and you remember how grace found you in the dark. The truly awakened ones do not talk much about awakening. They do not need to. Their presence says more than their words ever could. They are not interested in convincing anyone. They simply live, quietly, kindly, fully. Their joy is not loud, but it radiates like dawn. They laugh often, sometimes even at themselves. They make mistakes and forgive quickly. They cry easily because their hearts are no longer guarded. There is no armor left, only openness. You may think enlightenment means endless peace, but it is something richer. It is the ability to feel everything without resistance. Joy and grief, love and loss, birth and death, all of it flows freely through you. You stop clinging to the good and fearing the bad. You realize there is no bad. Only movement, only transformation, only life in different costumes. The dance continues, and you are both dancer and dance. This is why the awakened ones love the world so deeply. They know it is fleeting, but that makes it precious. Every sunrise is a gift. Every touch is a miracle. Every goodbye is holy. Gratitude becomes their natural language. Not because everything goes their way, but because everything, even sorrow, belongs. They do not pray for things to change. They pray for eyes to see. When you live like this, laughter becomes a kind of wisdom. You begin to laugh at your old fears, at how tightly you once held what was never yours. You laugh at how the divine disguised itself as pain just to bring you closer. You laugh because you finally understand that life was never against you. It was your teacher all along, using every joy and every wound to lead you home. And in this laughter, humility grows. You stop calling yourself awakened. You stop calling yourself anything at all. You become simple again, human, soft, real. The ego no longer needs to wear holy clothes. You can be both sacred and ordinary at once. You can drink tea, tell stories, watch the sky, and still be in prayer. That is the true miracle. Not to rise above life, but to kneel within it and whisper thank you. The world does not need more saints who escape. It needs hearts that stay, hearts that burn quietly, that forgive easily, that love endlessly. The awakened do not shine to be admired. They shine to remind others that they can too. And maybe that's why you are hearing these words now, because something inside you already knows this light. It was never gone. It was only waiting for your attention. If you feel that warmth stirring in you, let it move. Let it grow. Leave a reflection below, a thought, a moment, a line of gratitude. Your words might be the light someone else is waiting to see, and in that sharing, the circle of fire expands, softly, endlessly. In the end, there is no ending. The path does not close, it widens. The fire that once terrified you has become a quiet companion. The silence that once felt heavy now feels like home. You begin to see that the journey was never about reaching some distant paradise. It was about remembering the paradise within you, the one that was always there beneath the noise, waiting for your attention. You are no longer searching. The search itself has become prayer. You are no longer asking questions. Life itself has become the answer. You begin to understand that truth is not a mountain you climb, but a sea you dissolve into. You were never meant to conquer it. You were meant to merge with it. And now, you float in its endless depth, weightless, fearless, free. The mystics always spoke in paradox because they knew no single word could contain this feeling. How do you describe being both everything and nothing at once? How do you explain that the same hands that trembled in fear now hold galaxies in their palms? The mind cannot understand this, but the heart does. The heart has always known. It was the first temple, the first altar, the first flame. Rumi wrote, "What you seek is seeking you." Now you understand. The one who searched and the one who was found were never two. The lover and the beloved were never apart. You were chasing your own reflection across lifetimes, only to realize it was always looking back. The distance was an illusion, the longing a doorway, the fire a teacher. And when everything unnecessary burned away, only love remained. In this final silence, you feel the breath of creation itself, slow, vast, eternal. You see that every being, every stone, every cloud is breathing with you. You feel the pulse of the universe moving gently through your veins. There is no border between you and the stars. The same light that moves suns and oceans now moves your heartbeat. This realization is not loud. It arrives like dawn, gradual, tender, unstoppable. You start to live differently, but not dramatically. You speak softer. You move slower. You listen more. You no longer try to hold on to anything because you understand that nothing can be lost. You are the ocean watching its own waves. You are the sky watching its own storms. You are love remembering itself through the shapes of dust and dream. Everything you touch becomes part of that remembrance. When you look back at your journey, the pain, the searching, the falling, you no longer wish to erase any of it. You bless it all. Every mistake was a teacher. Every heartbreak was a lantern. Every tear was holy water. You begin to see that the path was perfect, not because it was easy, but because it was real. Every step was a note in the song of your becoming. And now, as you stand in the quiet glow of understanding, something inside whispers, "Continue." The path is not over. There are still hearts waiting to awaken, still flames waiting to be seen, still songs waiting to be sung through human lips. You are not done. You have simply remembered your purpose, to be light in whatever form life gives you, to love again and again without end. Carry this flame gently. Do not hide it, and do not force it. Let it move through you the way wind moves through trees, freely, humbly, unseen but felt. You do not need to be perfect to be divine. You already are. Every breath you take is proof that love has not given up on you. So, keep walking. Keep burning softly. Keep returning to the simple miracle of being alive. And if these words have touched you, even slightly, if they made something inside you glow, share that light. Leave a comment. Speak your heart. Whisper your gratitude. Press the small flame of a like or a subscribe. It is not for me. It is for the circle, for the fire that connects us all. Because the story does not end here. It continues through your eyes, your voice, your quiet kindness. The flame passes from soul to soul, and somewhere in the endless night, another heart awakens, another fire begins, and love, once again, remembers its name.